because last time there were other players spawns in here. Is this bubble following me? Yes, that would have been hella cute. Oh, there they are. Bodies of the other fallen. That's right, BB. We got this. Rest is only for the fallen. There's no rest for the wicked. Oh no. I drank too much water.
Amelie! Amelie!
She's fine. Extinction's on hold for now.
Let her go!
All that for repatriating. Christ. Well, we'll pick this up when you're done dying.
Heads!
I'll see you on the beach for the grand finale.
We just saw one of the biggest problems in video game history. A few weeks ago, this question got asked casually again, because this is something people have wondered. Why in the Harry Potter world are there no guns? Like, the streamer Asmongold was wondering that if Hogwarts could even exist in America. Because in America, everyone has a gun. So if someone suddenly comes around and wants to use magic, who would win? The magic user who has to talk to cast his magic, or the guy with the gun? And then when he learned that it was a British series, it's made suddenly sense to him, since we over here have way stricter gun laws, and not everyone gets to carry a gun. So it made a lot more sense to him that, why there are no guns in Harry Potter. But then that also got discussed in other groups that I just found his the cutest. But why did we just fight this giant ectoplasm BT if all Higgs had to do is gun me down? Maybe you can argue it's because of the equipment that I carried, since I went with the full silver steel armor level 4. That maybe he would have to power me down in a way. I was too powerful to just be taken head on. But the fight didn't give me the feeling of that. Yeah. As for the fight in itself, no. This is on par with the Dead Space 1 Hive Mind Nexus creature. In the 2008 version, I only have to go from left to right. That is all you have to do, and then you only have to hit some shots at the weakness points. But in this fight, I always thought that in the 2008 version, the best phase, or the phase that makes the boss interesting, always comes after I killed him. Like, where he suddenly throws his blobs and necromorphs start getting created out of those broken bags. And I sometimes, when I play that game, even especially when I stream, I just wait even a phase or two to just make it happen, because the moment he starts throwing these extra blobs, extra enemies to fight, I find that fight to be really freaking good. Especially when those fat guys come and then these little leeches stomp out of them because you don't have time to focus down their limbs, and you hit their belly and suddenly those leeches start spawning and are going to be really freaking annoying. And that's when that fight suddenly gets good. But like I said, all I have to do in that fight against the Dead Space boss, end boss, is I go left, I go right, I go left, I go right, while I shoot his weak spots, and it's so freaking boring. Here, the game does a little bit more, in that he has... I only noticed 2 attacks, no 3 attacks. He has a Mega Stomp, which never will hit me, or will never hit any human. He has a Tentacle attack, where multiple root or vine-like lines will get shot out into your direction, and you... The first ones I dodged by just walking, but I think you are supposed to run. The third one I saw was him summoning those the BT effect before you get dragged into the ectoplasm fight, right? I don't have a name for it. I'm gonna call it the ghost attack. Oh, and then he summons jelly beans. Right. I hardly even noticed jelly beans since I just focused and popped the jelly beans, right? And those jelly beans almost got me though, because this is dark and I have a really hard time since a hard time seeing them, since I have to lower the brightness of my monitor a little bit in order to not stress out my eyes too much. But they were... Like, I barely noticed them since I just logged in and I got rid of them. The ghost attack really was stressful. That was the only attack that really demanded tempo from me. But then I also remembered that I could just run and jump. But the biggest problem with this fight is it has clear indicators of where you are supposed to shoot him. At the start, you could even see that I tried to shoot Emily, the girl, and my cursor would be grayed out the moment it was above her or around her, and I was even getting a target lock. But then I was able to indirectly shoot her anyways. But the moment I slowed down and just thought about damage and how to damage him effectively, I shot Higgs and shot a red part, watched the HP line, and they did about the same damage. Like, maybe I did 25% more damage. Or 50, who knows, but it wasn't noticeably enough. So I went and shot his red marks, and then I did the same thing again. I looked at his head after I shot a black part and then a red part. Notice it didn't make any difference. Like, it's this concept of like what is easy to do and what is rewarding to do, because let's say the black parts only allow me to 75% damage output, right? Let's make it easier. Let's make damage. Black parts are 100% damage. Red parts are 50% bonus damage, and so 150 in total. And if I hit Higgs or the area around him, I would do 100% bonus. 200% in total damage. I still wouldn't go for Higgs, because just picking up weapons and spamming the opponent with damage while I just run and dodge into the enemies is brain dead activity. And I don't see why I should put extra focus, extra self-endangerment in order to beat the boss when all I have to do is invest time. To contrast this a little bit more, but this example doesn't really fit, is the old one of if you give a player the ability to beat a boss with one button, why should he ever an opponent with one button, why should he ever try out combos? And in this case, the reward for hitting Higgs or a red body part, the reward wasn't big enough. I once noticed that his tail was glowing red and had this red blob. I tried to go for it, but the moment I got behind and ready to aim at it, it was already gone. So I don't know what's all about that. Yeah. Overall, this fight was just a time waste because I didn't need to do anything. I guess the main point this fight has over the Dead Space fight is that the terrain shifts, and it shifts for a bad reason, because number one, there are invisible walls. I accidentally even opened up my map when I went for the inventory and saw a red circle. And I instantly snapped in my head that probably all the invisible walls are this red circle. Then I scaled it to what my environment was and how much I was able to run, and you could easily see how little I ran into invisible walls since I accidentally opened my map. And it gave me the orientation that I needed. Also, I noticed that the opponent was way less responsive when I got behind him and he had to turn, that it would give me way more open attack windows. Downside was I wasn't able to clearly see when he was attacking, because all of his attacks was player pointed attacks. What I mean by that is he wouldn't just AoE into a certain direction. Each projectile would update on my current location, and then I would still move and outpace the ability. Yeah. A fight that did a similar thing, but was way more impressive to me because it was way harder and way more punishing for when I got hit, is the Elder fight in Valheim. It's the second boss, I think. Yeah, it's the second boss, and it's a giant tree dude that does, I think, two major attacks. One is he shoots vines from the ground and you have to run. You do not have time. The moment you stand still, you can sprint to gain time to stand still, but at the moment you are extremely vulnerable and probably won't be able to dodge. His second attack is the vine attack that is similar to this one, the tentacle attack, where he shoots a massive amount. Like this is really filling the entire screen with vines. And the best way to dodge that or to deal with that attack is for me to hide behind a tree or a stone, anything that is massive and hopefully indestructible, since in Valheim everything has hit bars. Unless it's a dungeon or unless it's a certain, I guess, quest focused item, like for example an altar, where you summon this boss. But everything else, even ground, has a hit bar in that game. So yeah, which makes that fight more memorable, since he will deform the entire environment around you. So, and here I see this possible, that attack will could make you need for could create a need for taking cover, since they also have school buses and blocks swimming around. But they intentionally went with only blocks that are easily climbable, since they probably found out in Q&A that if they actually went with buildings like the previous boss fights, that it would highly annoy the player. Like, it would still be doable, but either the boss would probably bug out with its pathfinding, or the player would constantly hang on to walls and stuff. Like, the previous bosses all lost targeting if you went to the next building piece, and so that evened out these stress and stuff, and that is the main thing I abuse, because in order to run through, yeah. But here it's like the two times I got hit, I got stuck on something. And I'm not happy about how little I can see when I'm shooting the rocket launcher. Which, can you say that it's a trade-off for the power that it gives you? I'm not certain that is a good way to look at this weapon. The other hand, if I just packed 500 assault rifles instead, and just blasted, would that have been easier or something? Even if the glitch didn't happen. Or bug, because I want to give the benefit of a doubt to the developer, that when the building spawned on my supply wagons, that one got glitched into the house and the other one was up top, and there was nothing, at least nothing I could spot, for me to get up top on that house. Like, I want to even say that is a balancing act, because they were aware that the player was able to oversupply, and in order to stress him out or even take away some of his arsenal, they would just put it in an area where it's unreachable, which in this case is not a bad thing, because you have the ghost mechanic that will constantly resupply you anyways. But the cost is that you don't know where the next ghost spawn is, the ghost resupply, and you have to keep moving, especially when the ghost comes. There's still a 10-15 second window where there's an entire animation of them waving and then throwing the weapon, which more often than not actually annoys me, because the first thing I see, level 2 assault assault rifle, non-lethal. I run there, brain dead, and doesn't even notice that the animation hasn't even started. Then I come there, see, yeah, he's not even half through, and I needed that weapon right that moment. And then I have to do another maneuver to then pick up the weapon. But in the end, I find it really cool how they manage this resupply thing, because that is the first hint at time traveling in this, or this being a time loop. And I find this a really cute and good way to manage that. Even so, it annoys me. It's still a good thing, you know?